Hi, I'm Vicki Conklin. We wanted to bring this video to you to memorialize and really remember the wonderful times that everybody's had here in the Royal Oak Golf Course. It holds such a rich, rich history and memories for so many people, young and old. And so we wanted to do this on behalf of the Royal Oak Golf Course subdivision and the Royal Oak Golf Course community and the clubhouse. But also we want to thank Patty and Gary Bartlett for sponsoring the making of this video and for the talent of Case and Childs to be helping us with this production. So I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making that, and perhaps you have memories as well. So if you do, please contact us because we'd love to hear your stories as well. Thank you so much. What are some of the fondest memories that you have? The golf course and the clubhouse, that really had a lasting impact for you.
One was actually at the clubhouse itself. I was a hostess, and I believe it was in the fall of 1976, Frank Sinatra Jr. came and sang there. It was really nice. It was a wonderful event. I don't know. It was an experience that if anyone lived in Titusville, they would have enjoyed it.
My wife worked as a waitress along with her sister at Royal Oak full-time, and when they had special occasions, they needed extra help. And one of those special occasions was Frank Sinatra Jr. came into town, and I got to help serve. And I mean, it was a packed house, and I was not real experienced at serving, and I'll never forget when I set a plate down one time. It was prime rib, and I set the plate down too hard, and some of the sauce or gravy went off the plate into someone's lap.
Friday nights were seafood night. The place was packed. You had to have reservations. The pool. Yeah, all us kids were in the pool all the time. First time my dad ever joined a country club. And it was so we could use the pool. So it was fun. And then later on, I skipped a semester at college and became, to his chagrin, a cocktail waitress. He was not happy. And all the guys coming in, shouldn't tell this, but there were a group of what we would call high rollers. And they would be in the men's locker room every Friday night playing poker. And we would be in there serving them drinks. But it was funny because I remember my dad going around the bar and telling all his friends, "That is my daughter." It really hurt my tips.
I've got lots of family here. My uncle, Steve Adams, built a house here in the 60s. It was one of the first houses built. And then my grandmother, they bought a house next door for my grandmother, who's Bertha Adams. And she died about 15 years ago at the age of 92. And then our family, my parents, and we bought our house on the other side of the golf course in 1989. And they've been there ever since. So the best memory I have, one of the good memories, now you've got your stuff in the Royal Oak down at the lodge. You know, you got your Johnny Weissmuller that was there, and he would do his Tarzan yell. Roger Maris showed up there one time, and other celebrities. Mo Norman was a professional golfer that was there all the time. You could just wave and say hi to him, and there's a road made after his name, Norman Road there. But one of the best memories is my grandmother was over here on the 11th. Her house was on the 11th tee over here, and she put a sign up that said, "If your ball fell into my yard, you need the Adams Golf Tight Lies." And so she hung that sign up on the fence in her backyard, and that sign and the picture of that sign made it into Golf Magazine that year, and was kind of famous for a little while. So those are some great times, great memories. Of course, being on the course myself as a kid and then as an adult playing golf, and messing around on the golf course at night when I shouldn't have, you know, with the other kids.
So I'm actually a newcomer to the area. We moved on to Royal Oak in 2020, right before the pandemic shut everything down. And I know a lot of people have been telling stories about, you know, the past of the golf course and all of that. But it's more than just a piece of land, and it's not just history either. It still very much is a meaningful piece of property to people. So when we bought the house, I brought my children to come see it for the first time, and there were two little baby sandhill crane family in the yard, two little teeny tiny fluff balls. And my oldest daughter in particular really fell in love with the cranes. And like I said, we purchased the property right before the world shut down for a pandemic, and so we had nothing, we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything. And so my daughter spent a lot of time in the yard with her camera and those cranes, the family, watching them grow up. And she's always loved animals, but that was kind of the beginning of her having an appreciation for more than just like pets and domesticated animals. And so she fell in love with wildlife and conservation and protecting these animals. And so she actually now she'd be here talking for herself, but she can't because a couple months ago she moved away for college. She's actually studying natural resource conservation because of these cranes that live on the golf course. So it's a very meaningful piece of property. It changed the entire trajectory of her life, helped her find a career and a passion and something to do with that.
I remember watching the Gemini launches from my front door, and I remember the launches of the Saturn I and Saturn V rockets. And my dad was involved as a contractor for the Saturn I rocket, and so this was Royal Oak. Royal Oak was my home, and it turned out that Royal Oak really became a to-go place for so much.
First memory I have there is I guess I was 9 years old, and we had my Little League after-season party there. We won the league at IRC Little League. What do I remember most? It was at the pool, and so they used to have and the pool's still there, but it was one of the best pools in the city, and it had a high dive, and there weren't a lot of high dives. It was the very first high dive I ever went off of at Royal Oak Country Club. So that's my first memory. Then there's so many more.
My dad was a land developer, and he did all the infrastructure for Royal Oak. So my earliest memory is coming out here with him. I was probably 9 years old, and I'm sure I was probably pain. I'm sure I was a typical 9-year-old. He was trying to do business. They were trying to sign the contract for the land development. And I remember him putting me on a bulldozer and saying, drive, just drive. And I'm sure it was so that he could talk to these guys. But growing up here, this was such a fun place. And I remember the first time I saw the clubhouse, and I thought, wow, this is just beautiful. And it was. And all the people coming, just all the time.
We were swimming in the pool at Royal Oak. For some reason it was at night, and a helicopter came and landed across the clubhouse from the pool, and I was like, well, all kinds of excitement. Why is the helicopter landing, on the other side of the clubhouse? It turns out it was Warner von Braun and an entourage of people that came to the clubhouse for dinner or what have you, and nobody knew what it was, but that's what it was. My mother found out about it later, and she said, if I had known that was him, I would have taken these kids out of the pool, and I would have took them in there dripping wet to meet Warner von Braun. And I I remember thinking, oh my gosh, my mother's crazy enough, she probably would have done it too.
It had a family atmosphere, but yet it was somewhat famous. There were times CBS News cameras would be in there talking to people, and astronauts have been there.
And every Apollo launch, CBS News would rent that and for their news team to broadcast. And so I'm playing golf one afternoon at the time of a day or so before a moon launch, and I go in to get me a Coke. So I'm able to walk home. I walk in the house. I tell my mom and grandmother, you won't believe who's in there having dinner. Walter Cronkite, Jimmy Stewart, Lloyd Bridges. Next thing I know, they're in the garage getting the golf cart out, come back with autographs, and precious memories, they call it.
They would have what they called a moonwalk tournament. And I don't know that the tournament was actually anything different than what you would have. It's just another tournament, but we did the moonwalk tournament when the astronauts were on the moon. Sometimes they would spend a couple of days up there, and we would have a moonwalk tournament to celebrate, I guess, the walking on the moon, the success of the Apollo program, successful by a lot of the people that worked here, that worked on the Space Center and lived at Royal Oak and played golf at Royal Oak. And so it was kind of an exciting thing to have just another tournament, but we're going to call it a moonwalk tournament, just as sort of a way to celebrate the success of the Apollo mission.
These participants were part of the launch. Most of them were part of the launch team. They launched it 4 or 5 days earlier, heading towards the moon. And the most recent tournament that Royal Oak hosted, they hosted the Brevard County Amateur, and that was every August. And the reason I knew it was August, seemed like it was always right when my wife's birthday and our anniversary was, so I didn't get to play. So finally got the approval from the missus to play on August 20th, 1992, because that's the day. And lo and behold, if I didn't win, and my dad was still alive at the time, and he got to see it, and just a great weekend that weekend.
We built a house on Royal Oak Drive. I was about 10, and this was my home. And it's very formidable years for a 10-year-old growing up in this area and watching all this history taking place just across the river.
But the one thing is, it's a huge family deal with the whole neighborhood, and the golf course was the icing on the cake. So precious memories for a lifetime.
So that's kind of my memories from going off the high dive to coaching golf here, to playing golf here, and to working the Frank Sinatra dinner and spilling some prime rib juice on somebody. Wonderful memories for me.
It was just a wonderful place to grow up as a teenager, and years later, my kids got to enjoy it also. And unfortunately, the good old days are not with us anymore.
It has been our pleasure to share these memories of Royal Oak with you, and we hope the people in the future will have the opportunity to create their own memories in this special place.